I went on a mission to find out if the worst rated ecchi anime was really as bad as the reviewers said. Bruh, you won't believe what I found. My short experience with this series took me on a weird journey consisting of 3 steps. The first was mental shock. The second was grief, despair, and disbelief. And the third step took me down a path where I learned the dark truth of this series' origins. Believe me when I tell you that this series was very ecchi. However, I didn't expect it to come with way more attached to it than it did. But ultimately, we need to answer the question, is this ecchi really as bad as the rating suggests? So you're probably wondering what anime we're talking about here. Well, after sifting through tons of low-rated ecchi anime, I finally stumbled across the series in question, Papillon Rose. This series is basically an ecchi parody of the magical girl genre, particularly Sailor Moon, but hold on to that thought for later in the video. Now, this series first dropped an OVA called Lingerie Senshi Papillon Rose back in 2003, and then a 6-episode series, simply Papillon Rose, 3 years after that. So I thought I may as well start with the OVA as that came out first, and damn was I right, or perhaps wrong, to do so. To say shock factor is a complete understatement. This 24-minute OVA was freaking wild, and I honestly don't think I will ever forget this in my lifetime. Now, we're introduced to Tsubomi. She's a girl who is described as both savvy and, well, a horny schoolgirl. Yeah, she works at a lingerie club serving drinks to its Patreons, and I thought, awesome, we're getting straight into the good stuff. Why not? Tsubomi herself, well, she's a bit of a klutz, but she has that kind of happy-go-lucky aura around her. However, there is some sass to this girl, and we see that when she blackmails her own boss to stop her from getting fired. A good ecchi needs a girl you can get behind, or want to get behind, I guess you could say. Tsubomi makes a strong introduction, as does the anime, to be fair. Like, I was really happy, but yeah, that's when the crazy starts to begin. We're introduced to the villains and, well, yeah, the big bad lady is frustrated, asking if there are any warriors who can take her to her climax. This is our first introduction to the super cheesy dialogue in this anime, but their big evil plan is way worse. Yeah, she basically wants to gain the power of male pleasure and sends one of her henchmen to Kabukicho in Shinjuku to steal the sexual energy of everyone in Japan. And the way she does this as well, oh my god, yeah, like, straight up insane. But for YouTube reasons, we won't show that. Check it out though. So we go back to our girl Tsubomi. She's running through the street from school, late to work, and she bumps into this dreamboat-like guy called Hibiki, which obviously anime knocks her to the floor. Yeah, to put it bluntly, it goes like this. Her horny senses tingle, he then takes her to a love hotel, and then Shinjuku smashes her, which awakens her powers of a magical girl, and as well as that, he plants her weapon into her uterus. I'm no scientist, but what the frig? Now, Hibiki does a hit and run, leaving Tsubomi passed out on the bed. It's here that she meets Rama, who is this sassy talking cat who informs her about her new powers and her hidden identity as Papillon Rose. And I suppose at this point you really don't need any more of an indication of the insanity of this OVA, but if you hadn't noticed, yeah, the cat has a condom on its tail. Why? So freaking random. Anyway, we then go back to the henchman collecting sexy energy, who I forgot to mention was a dominatrix lesbian elf woman person called Sister Bien. I think Bane, Sister Bane. But yeah, of course. This leads us to the fight, and honestly, I don't know where to freaking begin. I mean, every magical girl show has to include the staple transformation scene, right? This one is no different, but the super special awesome phrase that's said to activate the transformation, well, just listen to it. It goes like this. Right, so Sister Bane sends her minions on Tsubomi, firing off their booba rockets, and we get to see the weapon that Hibiki left in her crotch, called, yes, the Pinky Vibrator. Her weapon is a vibrator. So after vibrating her enemies away, she then gets her ass kicked by Sister Bane S&M style before being saved by a masked man who shoots what now on her face? The masked man distracts Bane in the most, well, hentai way, which buys Tsubomi time to hit her with her ultimate attack. And this is called, I shit you not, her attack is called Rose Pinkish Viagra. Yeah, this move obviously just wrecks her in the most hilarious way as well, as you can imagine. So yeah, the battle is won, but who is the mysterious masked man that came to her aid? Well, just like in every series like this, it's so blatantly obvious to us viewers. In this case, it's Hit and Run Hibiki, but he reveals his name to be Dandelion. Yes. Yeah, kind of mysterious and all that. Anyway, he vanishes into the night all badass style. It was cheesy AF, man. Absolute cheese. The episode ends building up to what happens next, but it also leaves us with one of the most what the fuck things I have ever seen in my life. I mean, honestly, like I've got a tolerance for crazy and ecchi anime doing, lewd, weird things, but I don't know what the frig I just saw there. So yeah, the OVA alone was incredibly wild. It definitely ticked the box when it came to the ecchi stuff, but it was an experience that left me wondering, what the hell am I watching? However, dare I say that I actually enjoyed this. Would I fap to this? No, absolutely not. But its cheesy dialogue and that wild shock factor, it appealed to my humor and it really left me wanting more. It also kind of reminded me of the Ghost Stories dub at points as well. Really like that. So yeah, my curiosity was piqued and I thought it was weird, but it was like a funny weird. I wanted to see how far they'd take it and I needed to learn more about why it was rated so badly in the first place. So I then moved on to the 6-episode series that came out in 2006, and yeah, this is when I was hit with one of the biggest disappointments ever. Everything that was good, if you can use the word good, well, it was completely gone. There was no ecchi, there was no shock factor, and a lot had been either censored or changed. Like, there were still aspects of lewd in the anime, there was suggestive shots of the girls, some of the noises they made were a bit, questionable. And to my joy, the funny magical transformation catchphrase, well, that remained, but all the edge, that completely vanished. I don't want to overreact here, but a part of me was actually a little bit heartbroken. I wanted more of what I had seen in that OVA. Even the story hadn't finished. Like, when we moved to the anime, the 6 episodes, it moved to like a year after the events of Kabukicho, and the girls had lost their memories of everything. And yes, girls, there was more of them. What was going on here? I was honestly so confused about what the hell was going on that I decided to do some research and dig up the dirt on why this had changed so much. Like, I'm not stupid. I had reasons in my head that were obvious. The OVA was of course way beyond the line of acceptable, but I needed to know like why, when was the decision made? And it was here. This is where I found out about the origins of this series, and honestly, this information blew me away. So, it turns out that this whole thing spawned from an internet hoax back in the very late 90s/early 2000s. I know, it's insane. So, there was an internet troll who went by the name of Shinji Tobita, a pen name that is based on Japan's biggest brothel district, Tobita Shinji. Anyway, this guy made a website devoted to an anime called Papillon Rose, a series that was completely made up by him. Yeah, I know. He was basically taking pictures from other magical girl shows, mainly Sailor Moon, and he was basically photoshopping them to look like original characters from his imaginary anime. But he went full ham on this. He created concept stories and episode synopsis. He convinced thousands that this was a legit anime that had multiple seasons, a manga, and even a movie. But it doesn't stop there. He got fans involved as voice actors who would record sound clips as the characters, and he even handed out manga and merchandise for the series' upcoming project at Comiket. This thing went from a website that had sexy artwork and stories from fake episodes he had ripped off from Sailor Moon to becoming a real-life OVA, that same OVA that we watched earlier. Now, after the OVA, from about 2003 to 2005, he went back to his photoshopping, and from what I've read up on, a lot of it got pretty damn wild story-wise. However, somehow, yes, somehow, he managed to get a TV run for Papillon Rose. This is the garbage we moved on to after the OVA. Now, because it was a TV run, obviously a lot had to be cut out and reworked, which explains why the story was incredibly rushed. I think everyone knew that this wasn't going to continue beyond 6 episodes. And try as they did to keep some of that shock factor in the series, it just didn't live up to the hype of that OVA, and I can honestly see why the rating on this Ecchi show is as low as it is. Based on the OVA, I don't know, man, I actually really enjoyed it and wanted more, but based on the 6-episode series, man, no. What could have been though, right? Now, this won't be the last time I check out a low-rated Ecchi series, so if you have any in mind, please let me know. But while I'm highlighting the trash anime, I also celebrate the best Ecchi anime out there, so make sure to check out this video where I talk about the lewdest anime from each year of the last decade.